Welcome, everyone. Liz has put a sign-in sheet in the chat. If you could all please click on that link and sign in. This is how we will take attendance for our initial welcome to our King County ESIT DHH community training. All right, and we have captioning available, and you'll see our ASL interpreters are pinned. Oh, more people in the waiting room.
Norma, would it be helpful for me to admit people as they come in?
Yes, please, Liz. Thank you. And Liz, we have, will you put the PowerPoint in slideshow view? Oh, I think you just did.
Is it not in slideshow view? Sorry. Oops.
It is, yeah.
It is? Okay.
Excellent, thank you. Will you advance to the next slide, please? Welcome, everyone. I'll briefly go over an agenda. I've introduced myself, but with me today are my King County Early Support for Infants and Toddlers ESIT team members. We have Liz, Wendy, and Chanel are on this call with us. Just to orient everyone in the space to what we will be doing and how we will be using our time, we will do a quick welcome of everyone in the ESIT DHH King County community. I've asked you all to share information about your agency leaders, who your DHH point person and DHH FRCs are. So we'll do a little activity around that. We'll also do some community building and go over the finalized policies, and we'll have some time for questions. Next slide, please. So I want to first start with what the purpose of this first gathering is. We want to have a fresh start in building our ESIT DHH community. We want to establish collaborative relationships and get on the same page. This is also an opportunity for us at King County to provide a high-level overview of policies and what to expect moving forward. And it looks like there are some issues opening the link for the sign-in. Let's try that again, see if that works.
And if that link doesn't work, we'll resend the link at the break. We may need to do a internal sharing thing.
Perfect, thank you, Liz. So we want to first start with some acknowledgements of folks in our community that have helped support us get to where we are right now. So first and foremost, a huge thank you to Robin Taft and Northwest Center for continuing the work that they've been doing in the last year and for being one of our pilot sites. It's been a huge lift. Thank you so much, Robin Taft and Northwest Center. And I apologize, I have very clingy kitties that may or may not jump into the meeting. Also, a big thank you to our pilot sites for starting this work out, testing things out, giving us pointers and insights on how this will look and helping shape the new policies and procedures. So a big thank you to Encompass, Kindring, Northwest Center for being pilot sites. Additionally, a huge thank you to our various work groups that we've had to get to where we are with the policies and procedures. We had a work group of FRCs who helped support the process. A big thank you to Kayla at Northwest Center, Elizabeth and Eileen at Kindring, Brooke at Encompass, and Marcia at Wonderland. Also a huge thank you to our DHH agencies and providers, from Family Conversations, Mary and Jill, at HSDC, Anna and Jessica, and your team, at Listen and Talk, Tara and Mara. And wrapping up our acknowledgements, thank you so much to everyone in the space, our ESIT DHH community, for all the wonderful feedback, for elevating all your thoughts and concerns around the draft final policies and procedures that we sent. It really helped us shape what we're doing today in our future trainings. Next slide, please, Liz. So I'll kick it over to Wendy.
Hey, everybody. It's so great to see you today, all here, all with a single focus on how we can better serve deaf and hard of hearing children and their families within our ESIT system within King County. As you know, before, almost a year ago, Northwest Center had housed the independent DHH FRCs that served our whole county. And then about a year ago, decided not to continue in that role. And as we got together and talked about many different ideas and approaches, they were willing to extend for 1 year while we continued with this approach of children being served by a combination of a DCHS agency and their full service agency from the area where they are. And so we did lots of exploration last summer, lots of meeting together to work through all the options. And here is where we landed. Then this past year has been a transition year from July 2021 until June 2022. We've had 3 agencies step up as pilot agencies to be full service agencies, hosting DHH FRCs. And again, thank you to Encompass, Kindering, and Northwest Center, who've each tried that out in different ways. We also have drafted policies and procedures. They've been reviewed and edited and modified since that review. And so today we'll take a look at those, the final version. And then this is the kickoff of training that is happening both this month and next month to get us going. And the full launch for all full service agencies to begin as we move into July 2022. There'll be an ongoing training and community of practice for our ESIT DHH community. So it doesn't end in June, it's just the beginning of some new ways of working together.
And so just sharing some goals for our ESIT DHH system improvement. These goals were created by our work groups with input and collaboration from our DHH agencies. I won't read them all, but I do want to highlight the very first one. Our first goal, provide equitable, culturally and linguistically relevant services. This applies both to the families that we serve, families and children, as well as our team members, staff, and members of our ESIT DHH community, providing equitable, culturally and linguistically relevant services for everyone in our community. So we will move into who makes up the ESIT DHH community. So that is all of us in this space here, as well as the families and kiddos that we serve. I'll kick this over to Wendy.
Okay, so I love that question. Who makes up our ESIT community? Because this is a change that it's all of us in this room. And we're really excited about this change. So we wanted to do a little choreographed introduction, and I'll tell you what it'll look like. Everybody, we'll do one agency at a time, and we'll share the slide for that agency. And if you work for that agency, I want you to turn your camera on so we can see you all. And we'll wave to you. So we'll start out with cameras off, everybody, so we can really see. And we're getting ready for birth to 3. And if you can move to the next slide, Debbie. If everybody else can turn their cameras off, and birth to 3 folks, turn your cameras on. There's Debbie Jackson and Cassie Owen. No, and April, are you here too? There you are. There's April. So April will be the DHH FRC, and Debbie will be the DHH point person, and they value honoring families' values, beliefs, and journeys. That was great. All right. Okay, you can turn your cameras off, and we'll move on to the next one, which is probably Boyer, if I can alphabetize. All right, come on, Boyer, folks. Show your stuff. There's Livia and Yana and Margaret, like Candace. Annie here too. Hard to see. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to switch to, oh, I can't do it. There may be a way where you can hide the non-video people. And then this will be even more impressive. But you may not be able to do that. Okay, so for Boyer, the DHH FRCs are Candace and Margaret, and Jenny will be the DHH point person. So glad you're here. Yay. And moving on. Child Haven, will you show your sweet faces? The DHH FRCs are Emma and Nancy. And Kelsey Sprague and Nancy will be the point people. And they value addressing the epidemic of childhood trauma and adversity through relationship, partnership, and innovation. Oh, I forgot to read Boyer's. Sorry about that. Oh, there's Michelle, our director. Thanks. Glad you're here. Hi. Okay. Liz, will you go back to CTC? Back to Boyer. Boyer values ensuring all children have equal access to ESIT services, regardless of the family's language needs. Thank you. What a beautiful community this is. All right, moving on to, I think Child Strive is next. Oh, Children's Therapy Center. I'm terrible at alphabetizing. Okay, I saw that Michelle is here, the program director. Yay. And Jana's here, and Shannon, the FRC team lead, and Stacy, and they're working on figuring out who their DHH FRCs and point people will be. That's just fine. And Children's Therapy Center is passionate about providing high quality, family-centered services. Woohoo! All right, now moving on, probably to Child Strive. There we go. Okay, and we've got Pam Bainbridge, the DHH point person, and also that might be it that I'm seeing. And thanks for being here, Pam. Child Strive is passionate about parent coaching models and primary service providers. Woohoo! Moving on to the next slide. We've got Encompass. And I think I saw Jesse here, who's the ESIT director, and Brooke, who's the DHH FRC endpoint person. Woohoo! And Encompass values connecting with families relationally and providing coaching and care that builds their connections with their children. Okay, and EEU, we've got Laura here, who's the program coordinator, and Betsy, who will be the DHH FRC, and Laura will also be the DHH point person. At the EEU, we are passionate about our equity work and continuing to push ourselves forward so we can better provide support and services to our community. Our equity change team and across the center, we have been discussing as a staff both racism and ableism and the intersection between race and disability and the impacts on our work. So EEU, that's fantastic. Family Conversations is next, and they are part of Northwest School for Deaf and Hard of Hearing Children. And let's see who's here. We have Shyla and Nina Lynn and Jill. Fantastic. Did I miss anybody? Jill will be the DHH point person ESIT DHH point person along with Mary McBride. And thanks for putting all that contact information on your, you'll work towards a spreadsheet that has all the contact information across all agencies. So you got out ahead of us. So that's fantastic. Family Conversations is passionate about helping each child to develop the language and communication needed for loving, joyful relationships with their family and to develop their fullest cognitive potential. Thank you. I invite you to share the love with all of these groups, even if you're not on screen. You can do emojis or not. Is Hearing Speech and Deaf Center. Glad to see you, Jessica.
Liz, we might need
And
to,
Kathy.
hey, Wendy, sorry. Liz, we might need to reshare. On my end, it's updated. Try resharing and see if it works.
Oh, darn. Okay, let me try again.
All right, we have Anna, who's the program director. Jessica, who wears many hats and plays many roles. Cassie, what's your role?
I'm a direct services provider.
Glad you're here. And Ariel. And Ariel is the director of Deaf and Hard of Hearing Services. Now we have the updated slide. That's great. So both Anna and Jessica will play the role of ESIT DHH point person. So glad you're all here. And HSDC is passionate about early and consistent access to language, deaf culture, and community. Woohoo, glad you're here. Next is Kindering, and who's here from Kindering? Looks like Julia and Elizabeth, who will be the ESIT DHH point person and FRC. And Eileen is here, and both Elizabeth and Eileen were active in the work group. Thank you. And Kim Gertis, who's the director of early support and kids clinic. So glad you're all here. Kindering is passionate about helping all kids and families develop the skills to soar. And Listen and Talk. I think lots of people are here from Listen and Talk. Thanks for showing yourselves. Looks like we have Maura, the executive director, and Tara, the Birth to Three program manager and DHH point person. Maria, who's the director of finance and operations. And I think Mark is here too, the Birth to Three admin assistant, Martina, the bookkeeper, Mary Beth, and Kristen and Shelby and Roxanne, who all are part of this beautiful team helping families to find delight along their listening and spoken language journey. Thanks. Glad you're all here. I think I missed somebody. Sorry if I missed you. And Northwest Center has played a key role, as we've already mentioned. And so glad all of you are here. Kayla as the Business and Operations Director, Melinda, the FRC Senior Manager, Sarah, H2H, help me out.
Hospital to home.
Oh, thank you. Site Supervisor, and Robin is DHH FRC. She's been a DHH FRC for a while now. We're so glad that you have hung in there and that your team of FRCs has really stepped up to help with the transitions. And Northwest Center is passionate about meeting each and every family where they are, considering unique values, experiences, priorities, and needs. Thanks for being here. And several of those people were super active in the work group too. Thanks for that. And Wonderland, you can show yourselves. We have Mandy is here, and I think I saw, oh, there, Marcia's here, and Jenna, thanks for being here. Marcia will be the DHH FRC and point person, and Mandy will back her up. And let's see, glad you're all here. Jenna's the senior therapy manager, and Marcia participated in the work group too. She was ready, eager to get going as a DHH FRC, so thanks for stepping up to that. And Wonderland is passionate about supporting all families, but also specializes in supporting families who are raising a child with prenatal substance exposure. That's awesome. And we're also thrilled to have Within Reach here today. So you're a key part of our system. And if you can show yourselves, we have Jennifer and Diana and Bianca. So glad you're here. They don't have a DHH point person. They're all working and supporting ESIT, and glad you're all here. Within Reach is passionate about well-being and to create a healthy, equitable, vibrant communities in Washington where all families have the opportunity to thrive. And can we just share some love and appreciation, celebration for everybody showing up to this space. So glad you're here.
Hey, this is Liz on the ESIT team, and I'm going to start with a little sort of exercise or icebreaker for us to do together. So for those of you who are in monitoring, this will sound familiar to you. We're going to do an activity called a waterfall, and I'm going to describe it, and then we'll all do it together. So what I'm going to ask is for you to type in the chat, but don't press enter. Just type it. Don't press enter yet. What does community mean to you? So what is it that you think of when you think of community? So go ahead and type your response in the chat. Wait till I say go. Give everyone a few seconds to think. Okay, go. And so as you can see, all of these responses are a little waterfall, and I am seeing so many. Oh my gosh, you guys are so good. So I am seeing, I have to scroll all the way up. Support, strength, being heard, connection, support and caring, belonging, shared language, come as you are, partnership, relationship, connection, lots and lots of supports and belongings, close and supportive, life, identity, relationships, mutual support, growth together, and acceptance, friends and family, support of people around me, relationships, community, friends, family. I'm not reading. There are tons of support that people have shared. A group of people coming together with a common purpose. People, belonging. Community means to me a place where a person feels like they belong and are connected and welcoming. So yeah, this is really great. I'm going to pass it to Norma. Pass it back to Norma, but I think this is really great for us all to hear from each other what community means to us, because we are all in a community together. And as I think Nichelle said right before we started this activity, this is kind of like a little family reunion, a big family reunion for our entire ESIT community. So thank you. I'll pass it to Norma.
Thanks, Liz. This is Norma speaking now. I love this. That went so lovely. I love that so many of you said support. That's what community means to me as well. Liz, can you go to the next slide? So with that in mind, I have some proposed group norms and expectations for our communication and collaboration. These are by no means the end all be all of what our group norms will be. So this space that we're shaping, as Wendy mentioned at the beginning of the meeting, it doesn't end with these trainings, and it doesn't end in June. We are building a community of practice. We're building a community, the ESIT DHH community. So these are some proposed group norms for today's collaboration, but they're also going to be the jumping point for an activity at our first community of practice meeting in July, where we'll build community norms together. So you'll have the opportunity to share and build the norms that you want to see in our community. So for today, I have engage thoughtfully and honestly with courage and openness, keep an open mind, cultivating a lens of developing shared understanding, and let go of past experiences or interactions, and respect all voices. Everyone has an area of expertise. Liz, next slide. Oh, thank you. So with that, we are going to move into our group discussion. We've been kind of talking at you a lot. It was really fun to see all of your faces and see what agencies you're at. But now you'll have a little bit of an opportunity to interact with each other and engage. So we are going to break out into small groups and discuss these 3 big questions together. What inspires you to support DHH children and their families? What does the following look like for you? A healthy, thriving community, collaborative communication, and how will we support each other in adapting to change and when communication breaks down? So we will do this in a Jamboard, and I'll share the link for the Jamboard in just a second. For anyone who hasn't used Jamboard before, there will be little stickies that you can add to the Jamboard with the thoughts from your discussion group. So just some logistics for the breakout rooms. If you can identify someone who will be the sticky maker, the person that will put the stickies onto the Jamboard with the ideas and discussion that your group has, and someone that kind of keeps the group going, moving on from one question to the next. And then we'll get back together again and have a group share out. So let me just grab this link real quick. and we'll make sure that everyone can access it.
Norma, will you put the questions in the chat also?
Yes. And I think Wendy will be putting us into breakout rooms. Just a quick check. Is everyone able to open the Jamboard?
Sorry, I'm going to put everybody into breakout rooms, but one of the group breakout rooms will stay in this room, including the interpreters and the captioner will also be in this room. Okay, and if you need to be in a different room they're in, like you need to be in this room, please let me know. Otherwise, you'll get a message to join a breakout room. Okay, thanks. Oh, Norma, how long do we have? I meant to ask you that.
We have about 30 minutes for the breakout rooms.
Oh, okay.
Hello, everyone. I didn't get a breakout room message, so I'm assuming that I'm hanging here with you lovely people.
Yes.
That was my assumption as well.
Yay.
And this is the interpreter. Can we take off the spotlight so we can pull up everyone and see everyone? Because I can't pin Ariel right now.
I will do that.
Thank you.
And Norma, this is Mara. I'm going to really quickly, I'll let the interpreter catch up.
You're good. Keep going.
Okay. Just so everybody knows, I'm kind of a couple of days into COVID recovery, and the visual and the audio and everything is kind of overwhelming. So I'm gonna just observe and listen, and I appreciate your patience with that. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Mara. So if you didn't get a breakout message, you'll be staying in this room with me. And I just want to make sure logistics that everyone has what they need. So for anyone who needs the interpreters pinned, I can repin if necessary, or does this work for everybody? I'm seeing some head nods. Okay, so we'll just keep it like this. So I will share my screen with the stickies that the Jamboard that we have. Actually, no, that'll mess things up. We'll stay in here like this. I'll put the questions in the chat one more time and open it up to discussion. We'll start with the first one. What inspires you to support DHH children and their families? And I can take notes.
I can start.
I would say what inspires me is to provide families as much resources and information as possible so that they can make the right choices that fit for their needs and what they would like for their child's growth and trajectory to be. I enjoy that piece. That is inspiring for me, to be able to give them multiple options, not just one option, and to let them choose what they can move forward with. So that is what's inspiring.
I have my hand raised. I'm sorry, because I don't jump in. So I'm sorry, it makes me anxious. I'm inspired to serve all families. So let me say that first. And it may be because I worked at Listen and Talk. Hey, you guys, I just have to shout you guys out. I see you. It may be because I've been on both ends. Now I'm with a full service agency. And so that's why I'm saying that, is that I am excited to serve all families at all times. I'm inspired to serve deaf and hard of hearing families because I understand and I've seen consciously that they are the forgotten piece of the puzzle. And because I'm aware of that and know that and have seen that, it's important that we keep them even more in front to make sure that they're getting the exposure, that there's a responsibility to make sure that their needs are present and available and right, and get the attention and time that it needs. So I'm inspired because we're here having a meeting about it. I'm inspired that there's so many teachers of the deaf and SLPs in the room that are able to speak into the work that they haven't been even able to be at the table for. So I'm just inspired to be here consciously, to be building, but the families have deserved a voice from the beginning of time. So I'm just happy to be in the room.
Hi, Ariel here. I guess I'll go. So I think it's important for healthy development for our community, because inclusive access is, and respect is something really there. Respect for others who have different access needs. You know, as you see, I use a sign language interpreter, and that's very important to me. And it's, you know, that's an inclusive, accessible activity. So I think that's for community development and for families, that's very, very important. Be inclusive and be accessible to everyone so they can go to work, go to school, go to restaurants, go to businesses, and have access, equal access. Thank you.
Hi, this is Olivia. I'll jump in real quick if that's okay. What inspires me to support DHH children and their families? I consider myself very, very blessed to be a direct service provider, and watching children that bond with their families and watching that blossom and bloom and supporting that through parent coaching. It's truly a gift, and being able to support the connection they have is why I do the work I do.
I can go. This is Mary Beth from Listen and Talk. And I just love being part of the Birth 3 community. I love having the opportunity to work with highly trained professionals who care about families and the development of children. I love being part of a journey with families during this critical learning period. I love watching their brains grow, the neurodevelopment and the access and of the children and the babies and the connection with their parents, and just being there as a guide, a coach, a support system for the families during this really important time. It's just constantly, honestly, fun and exciting and so important. I guess I could just say I'm passionate. I'm very inspired to do what we do, to try to do my best to support a family, whatever that family may look like, that I'm able to do that. And I can't do that alone, but with a community, I know, like we have at Listen and Talk, and I'm sure in this extended community, you know, there's always someone out there to support us that we can go to, that we can talk to when and if needed. And it's just a daily joy to work with the families we work with, especially in an environment where we have the opportunity to grow and continue to grow in a very changing field. In the time that I've had to work in this community over the last few decades. So continue to love what I do. Thanks everybody for being here and doing what you do too.
Thank you everyone for sharing. Why don't we move on to the next question? What does the following look like for you? So two different things. What does a healthy, thriving community look like to you? And what is collaborative communication? I think the breakout rooms are going to close in a few seconds, a little ahead of time.
I'm sorry, are we on number 2 or number 3? I'm trying to look at the Jamboard.
Number 2, but our breakout rooms are closing us. I think Wendy's going to redo them.
So you don't want us to answer? Don't answer?
No, yes,
So
answer, but we're
sorry.
going to redo the breakout rooms.
Okay, so I'll wait.
Something happened in the breakout rooms, and also there needs to, this group is bigger than it was. So do you really have 20 people still in the main room?
Yeah, I think people might have gotten bumped off and then rejoined.
We definitely got
Okay.
bumped off. It stopped us at the 10-minute marker. Are we supposed to go back to our breakout rooms?
Yeah, we're going to go back to our breakout rooms, but, and I'm so sorry for this. I'll do a countdown. We will go back to breakout rooms, but I just want to check. Is the main room too full? Can you hear me, Norma? Is the main room too full? There are like 20 people in the main.
There were 20 individuals, but 2 of them or 3 are interpreters and captioners, so it didn't feel too big to me.
Norma and Wendy, I'm sorry to interrupt, but can we please pause and spotlight the interpreter to make sure that anyone who needs access to them can see them clearly?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. If we're good, we'll go back to the same breakout rooms for another 20 minutes. And I'm sorry for the interruption.
Okay, I think we're all back. I just want to do a quick check to make sure that the interpreters are able to pin folks and our participants are able to see the interpreters.
Yep, we're good.
Okay, awesome. I'm sorry about that. Zoom fun times, technology. So we were on question number 2. What does the following look like for you? A healthy, thriving community and collaborative communication.
Hi, this is Megan. I can jump in here. I mean, I think one answer to the first one is the second one. So a healthy, thriving community has collaborative communication. And I think both really need communication, thorough communication, and the ability for everyone's voice to be heard and contribute to discussions and things that are happening.
Hello, this is Olivia. I would say that respect is incredibly important for both a healthy, thriving community and collaborative communication. Respect for the families that we work with, respect for each other as providers and as, you know, hardworking individuals that we are, and just mutual respect to everyone in this room and beyond this Zoom room. So respect is important.
Hi, I'm Stacey. I can share. If I were to a healthy, thriving community, to me would be the individuals in that community getting what they need, getting whatever supports, whatever that may look like, whatever resources they need, and having that collaborative communication with having that respect and being okay with agreeing to disagree, whatever that conversation may be about.
I wanted to build off what Stacy shared a bit, absolutely everything that she shared, but I was thinking in my mind when I was thinking of the same idea and concept was that the essential physical and emotional needs are being met, and that they have access to the things that they need to thrive within their community.
I can go ahead. Got my hand up here, but I think for a healthy, thriving community means being accepting of everyone's, you know, accepting everyone and also recognizing privilege that you have to make sure that there is equity within the community and recognizing intersectionality in communities. And sometimes there are layers of different cultures happening. And so extending respect to everyone in the community.
I'll jump in. What does it look like for me to have a healthy, thriving community and collaborative communication? What I wrote down was foundational understanding. First, understanding the work, understanding the community, educating yourself on what that means, understanding what early supports for infants and toddlers means in relation to deaf, hard of hearing work. And consciously understanding that then builds an understanding to even partner in a thriving community. But if you don't have an understanding of what that community is and where they've come and how much work they've done, then you can't be collaborative. You can't join into the fun. You can't build, you can't create. And so for me, it looks like education, it looks like partnership, it looks like stepping out externally and asking, who are you? What do you do? What services do you provide? What does it look like when you support families? What does this, what does the culture look like? And starting there as a baseline when it comes to an organization, wanting to partner and wanting to be a part of a larger community.
I just want to say you're all making my heart sing. I'm over here typing very fast, trying to get all these thoughts onto the Jamboard. Are we ready to move on to the third question, or does anyone else want to add something?
I think I'd like to add something. This is Mary Beth from Listen and Talk. And I think I'd like to add that when we look at collaboration within the ESIT community, that I think really listening and following the lead of our families and our parents and being willing to reach out for resources and supporting them in ways that maybe we hear what their needs are and they're still on such a big journey that we're just there really, really fundamentally listening to our families and following their lead with respect.
I'll jump in with another one. This is Nina with Family Conversations. And I think for a healthy, thriving community and for collaborative communication, the thing that came to mind was that people just feel like they can take risks. And I think that can apply both, to families as well as to the professional teams that we work with, but especially when I work with my families, I think that that's when I know that, we are communicating, we are planning together. I am coaching them respectfully. And, that's when they can actually take what I'm saying and jump in and do things themselves and then come back and share with me, and that's when I know that they're willing to take a risk and they're not afraid of that judgment. And that's when I know that they're thriving, that they're willing to actually kind of take what I say and run with it.
Thank you all for sharing. The third question, I'll put it in the chat. How will we support each other in adapting to change and when communication breaks down? Nichelle, you have your hand up.
Yes, I do. And I was trying to get to the unmute button. I have a mantra of see something, say something, do something. And when you see something doesn't feel right or sit right, you say something. And then when you say something, then you want to have action and do something. And I believe that when we're in a place of just problem solving or being perplexed, it's for us to reach out. I think that's something I thought Nina was saying, reaching out, going beyond what makes you comfortable, because we have to think about who we're serving, who we're supporting. We serve families. Even if you're a director, you're supposed to be serving. Everybody should be serving and front-facing families. And so if we're thinking about front-facing families, then we are the voice for the family. And so it's our job to partner. We don't have a choice. It's our job to lean in and say, can I meet with you for a second? This is something I'm a little confused about. I think that's our responsibility. And if we take it on as our responsibility, then we won't see it as a clash in a way that's negative, but a clash that's positive to be able to create and build. So I think we should be coming out of our comfort zone and step in. And I believe that's what's happening here. You're trying to create an opportunity for people to be comfortable, to know who each other are, so that when we are confused or need to figure out what's going on, I can say, hey, Mary Beth, what's going on? Hey, Pam, what do you think? And know that there is a, you know, team member in this community on the other side that will work with me to figure it out.
I think I'd like to add on to that, that I think that we are very fortunate to have a group of highly trained professionals with varying perspectives and areas of expertise. And like Nichelle said, I think, you know, looking at each of us and where we're coming from and what the expertise the various people bring gives us an opportunity to enhance what we have ourselves by just realizing that, yes, we all have a specific area or specific areas of expertise. And when we collaborate or talk to each other with those things in mind, we have even more resources available to help support our families.
This is Olivia. Some of the things I jotted down in response to this question include the idea of unconditional positive regard. So holding in your space that the other person is coming from a place of caring for their families or caring for the work that we do, trying to hold that at the core. Feeling comfortable and safe to request clarification if something's not sitting right. Say something, kind of bouncing off of what Nichelle said too, like don't bottle it up, but try and request clarification in a respectful manner. And the final one I jotted down was just this idea of trying to avoid assumptions. We all come from very, very, very varied very varied backgrounds. And we all ended up in this work, in this field for various reasons. And there's a real beauty in learning about each other's stories and learning about what brought people to this field to support these families. So not assuming that someone is here for one reason or the other or things like that, but trying to be as free from those assumptions as possible.
I love everything that everyone is sharing. I think in adapting to change piece to how will we support each other. This is brand new for everybody. Switching over to this new way of doing things. It's brand new for me. I'm brand new to the county and brand new to this community. So everything that you've shared so far is exactly how I feel around community building, around supporting each other, letting go of assumptions and coming to the space with the baseline understanding that everyone is here to support families and children. So we all have that in common. We're all sharing at least that. Does anybody else want to share before we wrap up?
I just want to add something that came to my head when everybody was talking was, in the field that we're in, I said, what I'm thinking what's most important is not always coming into a situation trying to solve, but coming into this situation to support. So that's just what popped in my head I wanted to share.
Anyone else? Maybe anyone that we haven't heard from that would like to share? But completely no pressure. I loved what you said, Nichelle, around see something, say something, do something. I think especially being brand new to this community, that really resonates with me, and it's such an important one, especially when communication breaks down. A lot of what has been shared in this space, I think what I would love folks to walk away with from this meeting and from our future trainings is a shared understanding and a shared knowledge of supporting kiddos in this ESIT DHH system, but coming at things from a place of shared wisdom, that everyone has expertise in what it is that they are doing, and coming at things from that place of support rather than problem solving or fixing or being correct. I think one of the things that collaborative communication means to me is engaging in communication to learn from someone else rather than to be correct or right. So approaching communication from that lens of everybody has their truth, so everybody could be correct. I think keeping that in mind will be important as we're juggling all the changes, going through all of the transitions from the way the system was before to what we're wanting to create and build. And I invite you all to really lean into co-creating that system. It's not my ESIT DHH system, it's everyone's. So I invite everyone to collaborate and speak up when you see something that doesn't feel right or that isn't working the way that we intended it to. And I'll also just bring a little bit of humanness to this space. The breakout rooms first did us dirty and popped us out, and now they're a little bit longer than maybe they're supposed to be.
Well, can I point something out as a side note?
Yes, please.
And this has nothing to do with this meeting, but your background is moving and mine isn't. And I'm not savvy like that with Zoom. And I just think that's cool. And I know you're probably not there, but the waves and everything is moving and it's helping me at 4 o'clock. I just want to point that out. I just want to point it out that I'm not that savvy. I don't know if anybody else has picked that up, but the wind is blowing behind her. And I think it's cool.
I thought this was a much better, there is literal chaos behind me. There are cats and a child. So I thought this was maybe more soothing than, than real life. Thank you for pointing that out. All right, it looks like we're all coming back. Let me repin the interpreters real quick. Let's see, I lost Madison. It's not letting me repin her. So one moment, please.
Interpreter for fish.
There we go. Found you. Perfect. Welcome back, everyone. Before we move into a little bit of a break, because we've been in this meeting for a little bit over an hour now, so I want to give everyone an opportunity for a little bit of a break before we move into policies. Just a quick share out from the breakout rooms. If those of you who were taking notes want to share back to the group what you discussed, that would be lovely. I can also call on you if that's easier.
Hey everyone, this is Laura. We were in Chanel's room and I can't say everything we're talking about, but we talked about just a lot of similar themes of like just trying to have as much open communication, feeling comfortable to reach out to one another, kind of keeping in mind that this is all a learning process. We're learning this new process together and trying to lead with that understanding and reaching out when, you know, like, oh, why did this happen this way? And trying to work together to figure out any concerns that come up and just being open and having a supportive community. So.
Thank you, Laura. And I'm just taking a quick look at time. Why don't we take a 2-minute break real quick before we move into the policies. So if everyone could be back here at 4:13, we will move into going over the policies.
I don't think so. Yeah.
Progress.
Are we all back? If you could give me a thumbs up if you're back. Excellent. I'm seeing some thumbs up. So Liz, if you could share your screen again. So we're going to do an overview of the policies. We probably won't get to all of your questions that you'll have. This is really starting off with the high level policies. You reviewed the final draft that we had, and this is the final of the policies themselves. We'll be scaffolding on these policies with the procedural trainings in the upcoming weeks. So any questions that we're not able to get to today, will answer in those trainings and go more in depth and in more detail. And we'll also be sharing the slide deck after this meeting. So this is an overview of the ESIT DHH process. We're wanting to move families along the process. The yellow arrow here shows you when a family has not yet chosen a DHH agency, moving the child along the ESIT process in the middle here. So the middle is the ESIT process. And the green arrow shows you once a family has chosen a DHH agency, including a DHH provider, as a full team member in all of these steps. So in the yellow, we're wanting to inform families and support their choices, alert DHH agencies as soon as the family has been referred, and schedule dates to be ready, and move the child along the process without delays. Next slide, please. So our first policy is holding timeliness and family choice. So at every step in the process, the full service agency is responsible for enrolling and serving DHH children and families with timeliness. DHH FRCs coordinate the scheduling of evaluations, assessments, and IFSP meetings in alignment with their agency's practices. DHH FRCs are responsible for ensuring that a family is informed and supporting their choice of a DHH agency. And as soon as the family chooses a DHH agency, the DHH FRC informs and includes the assigned DHH provider and as a full team member who is co-responsible for engaging in all subsequent steps in the process. Our second policy is around communication and collaboration, which we've spent most of our time together speaking about communication and what our community will look like. So the two big things here are timely communication and inclusive and regular teaming across agencies. Our third policy is around interpreters and accessibility. So the two big things, scheduling interpreters and accessibility. DHH FRCs are responsible for ensuring the family's home language is supported by scheduling and arranging interpreters for every step of the IFSP process. And direct service providers are responsible for arranging interpreters for services they provide. Around accessibility, when a DHH child is referred, the DHH FRC will notify all three agencies of the scheduled eval or assessment and IFSP meetings, including dates and times, so that interpreters to ensure accessibility can be scheduled in advance if needed. When caregivers or team members need interpreters for accessibility, meetings will be scheduled at least 2 weeks in advance. DHH agencies are responsible for scheduling interpreters to ensure accessibility to ESIT activities for their staff members whenever needed. And this is an in-process piece to this. King County will cover a percentage of staff interpreter costs to ensure ESIT staff accessibility to all ESIT activities. Each agency is responsible for identifying an ESIT/DHH point person. And at full service agencies, this role might be a DHH FRC. So you all gave me information on who your ESIT DHH contact person might be if you have one chosen already. This will be crucial for participating in DHH trainings and the community of practice and keeping everyone in the loop of what's going on. So this chart shows you the responsibilities of an ESIT DHH point person and the responsibilities of a DHH FRC, keeping in mind that some agencies, that person might be one and the same. And then we have a pilot idea, a welcome session with all three DHH agencies. This will be a joint virtual session with all three DHH agencies. The idea around this is to support family choice and to support families in making a choice earlier on in the process. Because that first slide that we showed you, the yellow and the green arrows, we're really wanting to move families along the ESIT process And the ideal or the goal would be that green arrow for families to choose a DHH provider earlier on in the process. So this is one pilot idea to help support that. This is something that we'll trial out and see if it supports families, but if it creates more barriers or becomes more cumbersome for the ESIT DHH community, so all of you, then this is something that we don't have to stick to. We're trying this out. And then I will kick it to Wendy.
And we have one more pilot that we'll also be trying out, which is that parents will have an option to choose more than one DHH agency. We'll try it out, see how it goes. We've done it in a handful of cases, and a family may choose more than one DHH agency, but not more than two. So we have 3 DHH agencies. So in essence, they could choose up to 2. And it can be shared with families who haven't chosen a DH agency 2 weeks before their initial IFSP meeting. Again, that's increasing the hope that if the issue is choosing between the agencies, that they might start out with 2 and see how that works. And then it will require lots of intentional teaming to keep in mind scheduling, collaboration, and consistency. The DHH FRCs will check in with the family and providers every few months to see how it's going. And at each annual IFSP, there'll be a discussion about how well this is working and whether to continue. And then 7, scheduling, assessment, or evaluation. The full service agency is responsible for scheduling and completing the assessment or evaluation within timelines and in alignment with the agency's practices. However, one thing we're requesting is that DHH FRCs participate in the scheduled assessment or evaluation to support continuity for the family. As soon as the family chooses a DHH agency, the DHH FRC includes the assigned DHH provider in the scheduled assessment or evaluation, and that DHH provider makes every effort to participate. And if available to do so, the communication specialist from the full service agency evaluation team may be excused. Interagency agreements. This is actually no change from how we currently do interagency agreements in King County. We just wanted to highlight that all agencies are required to develop an interagency agreement and submit to King County and to each other, and it's initiated by the DHH FRC. I'm not going to go into all these details today. We'll do this at the session that is, I think, June 1st, when we go over billing and special education rate. But one thing that I wanted to point out is that the draft said the split would be 8% of special ed funding for the full service agency when there's only a DHH FRC at the full service agency. And we changed that to 10%. So 10% of the special education funds will go to the full service agency and 90% will go to the DHH agency when there's only a DHH FRC. And this is a slight change. The DHH FRC is responsible for initiating all DDA application and change forms to DDA and CCing any other agency on the IFSP. The other agency, for example, any DHH agency, is responsible for following up with DDA to ensure the authorization is in place with their agency.
And so upcoming for the rest of May, we have 2 more training sessions in May and 1 in June. Those 2 in May will be really diving deeper into those policies that we briefly went over today and more of the procedural parts. So those will be crucial for our DHH ESIT community to really understand what the changes look like and how to implement those. And then June 1st, as Wendy mentioned, we'll have a training that dives into billing, the interagency agreements, the developmental disabilities administration form and change form, as well as going over some of our remaining policies that are not in there, like the hearing aid policy. There were some questions around that previously. And then in June, we'll transfer Robin's current caseload over to all the full service agencies. And we'll have a more in-depth training on autism and ableism on June 22nd. And then July and onward, the full service agencies will begin to receive DHH referrals, and our ESIT DHH community of practice will take place monthly on the 3rd Wednesday of every month from 3 to 4:30 p.m. So we have just a little bit of time left for questions. I'll open it up to quick questions in the chat, or you can unmute yourself if you have questions. And I see Nichelle has her hand up.
Thank you, Norma. I have a couple of questions, and some of them I can hold off. My first one is around the full service agency having the conversation with the families around the 3 programs. And I guess I just want to hear a little bit more from you guys around setting the FRCs up at the full service agencies for success. I'm aware of the questions that families ask when they're looking to learn about the programs and understand what's going on with their child when it comes to their hearing, and the level of questioning that happens and the directives that they're looking for. And then I think about a full service agency FRC. I'm not limiting anybody's ability, but I'm being practical and real. I would like to hear, I guess I would like to hear a little bit from the 3 agencies, how they plan to support. I just trying to figure out that moving from the agencies being able to deliver about their services to a full service agency FRC delivering that information, and just the conversation that happened around that.
I'll speak to that. Can you hear me? It's one of the reasons we want to have these weekly info sessions, because we don't want to put the DHH FRCs in the position of having to answer lots of questions. They'll basically share what the 3 options are, try and get the family signed up for an info session, and then the DHH providers themselves will have an opportunity to share at the info session, including breaking out into breakout rooms to discuss with individual families specific questions about the program. So we want to have that be a regular part that's accessible to families, that doesn't hold up the process or require each DHH FRC to have lots of knowledge.
Got it. Okay. My second question is around the options, being able to choose more than one option. If I could hear a little bit more about that decision and where that came from, and really wanting to hear from the current DHH agencies of how they plan to support families around that and what that would look like for a full service agency, that would be great.
I'm not sure that we have enough time to go into that depth, but Shyla, it looked like you were willing to respond to that.
Thank you. I am curious, there was a video made 2 years ago that introduced the 3 programs that was being used to help the FRCs, help the families. And I'm wondering if that will be a current resource for the new DHH FRCs.
That's a really good question. Shyla, I was a part of that process when they put that together. And I know that within that video, there was still many conversations around if that video really landed for families and if it really clearly explained the services across the board with the 3. So I think your question is great. And then to even expand more, Wendy, I know there's not a lot of time, but I just want to make sure that we're setting staff up for success, but even more families up for success when they're coming in to learn about the programs. And at the same time, what it would look like on the back end to support. And we're starting this in July. And so I just want to keep in with that time frame as well. That's really tight, and info sessions weekly is great to start out. I just want to make sure that we understand that these are family resource coordinators who will need to learn this information, and it will take more than a weekly cadence. So I wonder if there should be partnerships that's reaching out to the DHH agencies, collaborating as well, or will that be counterproductive to what you guys are doing?
Nichelle, that's absolutely great. I love that you're thinking that way. That is the idea, the intent behind the monthly community of practice, for that to be a space for the DHH FRCs and our DHH providers to interact and be able to sort of bounce ideas off of each other and get that support on a continuous basis. And I think Liz had to go, so she stopped sharing her screen. And we are at time. I want to be respectful of everyone's time. Any other questions that you might have that we haven't gotten to today? I'll be sending out the slide deck to everybody, so you'll be able to review those 10 policies on your own time. Please feel free to email me. We'll also be seeing each other weekly for the next month. And as we leave today, in the chat box, if you could share one hope that you have for this community moving forward, as you leave, one hope that you have. And thank you all so much for joining and being here today. Thank you for bearing with us with some of the technical difficulties. I hope you have a great rest of your afternoon.
Thank you for the captioning.